I've been to more Thanksgivings than I care to count, and they've all been pretty much the same. Roast turkey colder than etiquette demands. My grandmother scolding my cousin Claire for chewing with her mouth open. My father rifling through grievances with his brother-in-law over stale stuffing. This year's gathering, our first since Mom died, was supposed to be different. Dad promised me a new chapter, a night without passive-aggressive jabs and whispered arguments. He said, "Trust me, kiddo, just sit tight and keep your head down." But I never imagined the cost of that promise. On the Monday before Thanksgiving, Dad pulled me into the study after I came home from work. His suit jacket was still on, tie loosened, pockets bulging with receipts. He closed the door behind us and pressed his palms to the oak desk, exhaling in a whoosh of regret or maybe exhaustion. I could never tell which. "Charlie," he said, using my childhood name, "sit down." I did, perching on the edge of his leather office chair. Daisy, our golden retriever, nosed my leg through the door crack. Dad waved her away, and she padded out, tail tucked. He inhaled slowly. "I know the last few months have been rough. Losing your mom, the house sale, moving in with us. It's a lot, but next Thursday, Thanksgiving, I want you to stay quiet." I blinked, puzzled. Stay quiet? Why? Dad cleared his throat. "Because there'll be..." He glanced at the door, lowered his voice. "There'll be sensitive stuff on the table. Family, business. I'd rather not have you stir the pot." My chest tightened. Stir the pot how? He rubbed his forehead, voice gentle but firm. "Just don't talk about Aunt Karen's medical condition. Don't mention Uncle Jack's promotion drama. And whatever you do, don't bring up the lawsuit. It's not the time." I swallowed. "You mean Mom's estate lawsuit? The one we filed against Trent Industries?" He nodded, stiffly. "Exactly. Wait until everyone's at least a week removed from the family dinner before bringing that up, maybe at Christmas. But Thanksgiving, no talk, all right?" I frowned. "Dad, I've worked on that case since July. I did the research, prepared the briefs. I won't talk about it if you think it'll derail the piece." "You won't talk about it." His voice cracked on the last word. "Please, Charlie." His eyes, glassy at the edges, pleaded. "This is for Mom." I saw then what would become my cross to carry. He wanted me to quiet my voice, bury my work, hide my fight. "All right," I said softly. "I'll stay quiet." He squeezed my shoulder as though I'd just rescued him from drowning. "Thank you." Thanksgiving Day arrived crisp and clear. Through the windshield of Dad's SUV, I watched the first brittle leaves fall like confetti over our suburban streets. I wore my navy blazer, something halfway between casual and you look put together enough, and kept my phone silenced in my pocket. In the passenger seat, Daisy rode shotgun with her head out the window, ears flapping like little flags of joy. Dad drove. Aunt Karen sat in back, her wig carefully pinned, knitting needles clicking with each stitch. Across the aisle, Uncle Jack scrolled through his tablet, tapping out texts. No one said much, which felt like relief and poison in equal measure. We arrived at Grandmother Hazel's farm, just as the late afternoon sun gilded the pasture. The old barn framed the driveway, where cousins parked their cars, and the wind whipped straw into miniature tornadoes. The front porch sagged under the weight of doilies and wind chimes that sounded like ghostly raindrops. Inside, the house smelled of sage and cinnamon, and the unmistakable tang of turkey roasting in the kitchen. I took a breath. This was home. The house Mom grew up in, the place I learned to ride a bike, and where she taught me how to bake apple pies. Now without her, it felt like a gilded coffin, beautiful but empty. Inside, Grandmother Hazel greeted me with a kiss on the cheek, so soft I barely felt it. "There you are, my dear. You're such a sight for these old eyes." I hugged her, the lavender scent of her perfume mixing with the memories of Sunday suppers. "Hi, Grandma. And where is that daughter of mine?" she crooned, rubbing Daisy's ears. "You look just like her." I squeezed her hand. "I'm here." She smiled, but there was worry in her eyes. "Good. Dinner's at 6. The dining room was set in formal splendor. A long table draped in linen, china rimmed with gold, and candlesticks flickering over a centerpiece of cranberries and evergreens. My cousins, 8 of them at various careers and life stages, gathered round, laughing and swapping stories from college and start-ups and travels. My brother Marcus was telling his usual story about the time he got stuck in a Swedish sauna. The room echoed with playful roars. I sat at the head, next to Grandmother Hazel, where Dad always put me. But unlike every year before, I stayed mute. I nodded, murmured brief responses, Forced smiles. Uncle Jack passed the gravy without comment. Aunt Karen fussed with her scarf instead of stirring the mashed potatoes. A sister-in-law cornered me in the kitchen to ask about promotions at work, stock research at a Wall Street firm, but I diverted with a smile. Actually, what a beautiful view out here. Did you see the sunset this morning? She blinked, then laughed. You're cracking me up, Charlie. She walked away. That felt better than spilling the IRS lawsuit details into her hands. Dinner was carved in silence. Turkey drumsticks glistened like trophies. Bread stuffing smelled of sage and celery. Yams smothered in marshmallow glimmers. We prayed, bless this food, bless our family, and I prayed not to erupt, not to tell everyone that Trent Industries had deep pocket lawyers leveraging every clause to bury Mom's estate, that I'd found documents proving they manipulated the will, that I'd wasted months chasing justice no one seemed to want. After dinner, the men drifted into the study for port and cigars. The women lingered at the table, polishing turkey tetrazzini. I drifted too, following Daisy, who padded through the swinging doors. The study doors clicked shut behind me, leaving me in the soft hush of wood paneling and tops of bookshelves. I thumbed through Dad's cigar selection, Vega Robena, Monte Cristo, looking for solace in the familiar scents. Daisy nosed a chair cushion and sat, awaiting her treat. I exhaled, let it all go. Stay quiet. That was the plan. But deep in my coat pocket, my laptop still hummed with unread files. I could feel the drive to speak their names. Trent, Patterson, Morgan, rising like tidewater. My heart hammered. Was it loyalty to Dad, to Grandma, to the memory of Mom that asked for silence, or fear, like scuttling under blankets so the storm couldn't find you? I buried my hand in my pocket, brushed my fingertips over the sleek aluminum edge. Then Daisy pawed at my leg, and I grabbed a small cigar cutter to break the tension. After the smoke, just a puff, courtesy of Uncle Jack's generosity, I found Grandmother Hazel dozing in her reading chair. I brushed a stray lock from her forehead. Grandma? She blinked at me. Yes, child? I perched on the armrest beside her. Thanks for everything tonight. It's nice to see everyone. She smiled drowsy. Your mother would have been proud. She patted Daisy. You're a good girl, she cooed to the dog. I bit my lip. The corners of my grandmother's mouth quivered. I knew what she wanted but couldn't say. Mom's wish before the accident was for our family to hold together, not break apart over legal squabbles. That was exactly why Dad had asked me to be quiet, keep the peace. Let the lawyers fight in court, not at the dinner table. I closed my eyes, feeling each heartbeat as thunder. The plan was to stay quiet at Thanksgiving, to hold my tongue, to uphold tradition. But tradition can be a cage, and I had spent the last months in a cage of papers and property deeds, unable to stand up for my mom. The lawsuit was my only voice in a sea of silence. I had a choice: stay the dutiful granddaughter, or tear open the silence and speak truth. Thanksgiving was the ground zero for family unity. 5 days later, on family night, I had planned something that would break that unity, something I'd packed away while Aunt Karen laughed at her knitting club stories, and Cousin Claire took selfies with her boyfriend. Something I had to do for Mom. I stood in the study's golden lamplight, gaze drifting to a framed photo on Dad's desk. Mom in her apple, spotted apron, me on her hip, both of us grinning. She had taught me to speak out, to demand justice, even when no one listened. The cigar turned to ash, then collapsed into my palm. I let it fall into the silver ashtray. The hush wrapped around me like an invitation. I headed down the hall, past the kitchen where Aunt Karen's casserole dishes lay empty, toward the door of the library, where Cousin Claire rehearsed Christmas carols with her guitar. I paused, hand on the doorknob. Tonight I'd pack my files, copies of the incriminating emails, the will tampering memo, the family tree with Trent Industries tagged conflict of interest, into a USB drive. Then I'd slip them into everyone's Thanksgiving favor gift bags. Grandma's knitting, Uncle Jack's mini cigar box, Aunt Karen's scented candle, Aunt Lorraine's artisanal honey. Then I'd slip out and let the hammer fall in Monday's family group chat. My pulse stuttered. Silence had its place, but this was bigger than one peaceful dinner. This was Mom's legacy, and my mother's fight for her own estate, stolen from her when she was at her weakest. My voice would carry across that USB's circuitry like a courtroom gavel. I turned the knob. The library's warmth spilled into the hallway. Claire looked up, strumming a chord out of tune, silhouetted by the piano she learned on age 7. Hey Charlie, she said, smiling. You okay? I forced a smile, buttoning my blazer. Just needed to see you. She shrugged, set the guitar aside. Dinner was great. She reached out and tweaked my sleeve. You look tired. Want some cider? I paused, then nodded. In that moment, I decided I'd be quiet Thanksgiving night. But 5 days later, my family would wake up to a virus of truth, a trove of documents they couldn't ignore, and the knowledge that silence had finally been shattered. And then I'd disappear again, back into my life, under the radar, until they'd have to reckon with what I'd done. Until then, I'd sit with my cousin, sip cider, hum carols. Because when history calls, you answer, even if it rips your world apart. I watched the sunrise from my apartment window 2 mornings after Thanksgiving, sipping tepid coffee and staring at the glow on the horizon. My duffel sat dry and dusty in the corner, its contents partially transferred to a small canvas bag, now packed with my essentials for disappearing again. After dinner with Claire in the library, I'd slipped the USB drive into the stack of favors, left the house before anyone noticed, and flown back home in a daze of purpose. All I'd done, I told myself, was furnish the truth and leave them to decide what to do with it. By 7:45 my phone buzzed with an explosion of notifications. I braced myself, thumb hovering in disbelief. Family group chat, 112 unread messages, dad's phone, 8 missed calls, mom's lawyer, 2 voicemails, Grandma Hazel, 3 texts. I clicked the family group chat first. The chat title was still Thanksgiving 2021, but the content had mutated into chaos. Check your inbox ASAP. Gloria, I just opened my gift bag. Is that a USB stick? Aunt Lorraine, who put company memos in the birthday candles. Uncle Jack, this is bad. Like, really bad. Mom's lawyer, please call me, urgent matter regarding the Caldwell estate. Dad, what is going on? Someone please explain. My pulse hammered as I opened the first email. The subject line was stark. Truth_revealed_Caldwell_estate_analysis. Odds. I tapped it open, scanning the first sheet, a table titled Will Amendment Detection, with columns for date, document source, executor signature, signer's claimed capacity, and anomaly score. Row after row showed June 12, 2020, certified copy of will, executor, H. Caldwell, claimed, self, anomaly, 87%, June 15, 2020, board meeting minutes, executor J. Arlington, claimed witness, anomaly, 92%, June 20, 2020, legal memo from Patterson LLP, executor L. Ellington, claimed nephew, anomaly, 88%. My stomach lurched. The anomalies column was color-coded, red for scores above 85. Every entry was red. Scrawled in the margin was my note, Mom never signed amendment to remove Charlie from estate, and Trent Industries paid Aunt Karen $250K for signatures. The next tab held emails from Trent Industries executives, instructions to minimize Caldwell exposure, references to document replacement, and payment to third-party forger. I scrolled until I found the one that made my fingers freeze. Subject, Rig Confidential, Caldwell Bequest Amendment, from J. Arlington, at TrentIndustries.com, to installer at PattersonLaw.net, K. Caldwell, at FamilyEstate.com. Date, June 14, 2020, the signatures must appear authentic. Use the same ink and paper stock as original. The subject, Charlotte Caldwell, is our concern. Her share must be minimized. Proceed as instructed. Funds will be wired. My breath caught. I'd found the email thread last week while researching for our lawsuit, but to see it laid bare for Aunt Karen K. Caldwell at FamilyEstate.com and Patterson Law in everyone's inbox felt like a bomb going off in my chest. Aunt Karen had been complicit. Kathy had forwarded the board minutes. Uncle Jack had known, or at least witnessed. With trembling thumb, I scrolled back to the chat. Aunt Karen, how did this get here? Gloria Karen, are you okay? Aunt Lorraine, this is criminal. Sam, Dad, we need answers now. Dad, who sent this? He'd recognized my email domain, Charlotte Caldwell at yourname.com. In the next thread, I saw his shocked message. Dad, Charlie, is this you? Mom's lawyer's voicemail beeped urgently on my phone. I dialed her at once. Charlotte, thank God. She sounded as though she'd been pacing. I just saw the emails. Were you aware that the will amendment is under criminal investigation? Aunt Karen confessed to forging your mother's signature and transferring assets illegally. They've already frozen the family accounts pending the FBI's review. I closed my eyes. I did it. I put the evidence out there. She sighed with relief. You're a hero, but this is going to rip them apart. There's a warrant for Aunt Karen, and Patterson LLP might face charges. The judge has called an emergency panel next week. Your father's implicated. He signed the amendment. Do you understand? My grip tightened on the phone. I understand. That afternoon, I drove out to Grandma Hazel's farm, where the Thanksgiving dinner had been. The apple orchards were now bare, leaves brown and brittle on the ground. I climbed the porch steps to find Aunt Karen pacing by the barn, cell pressed to her ear. She looked impossibly small in her tweed jacket, hair pulled back in a severe bun. When she saw me, she ended the call with a snap. Charlie? Her voice shook. She swallowed, eyes darting. I'm so sorry. I sat on the creaking rocking chair her mother once used. Karen, you have to turn yourself in. Her shoulders collapsed. I know. She looked away. But I'm scared. I thought Dad wanted it that way. He said it was routine estate management. He lied, I said softly. He signed knowing it was a forgery. He's under investigation. She dug her nails into her palms. Why, Charlie? Why did you have to expose everything? I stood, anger flaring through my sorrow. Because Mom didn't deserve to be robbed. You took her last wishes and turned them into your payday. I couldn't stay quiet. Tears glistened. I never meant to hurt you. You hurt all of us. She gasped. Please, don't hold this against me. I swallowed. I won't. My voice cracked. But I can't pretend I'm not the only one who did what was right. I turned and walked away, heart pounding like a war drum. The next day, I went back to Dad's house. Now a fortress of yellow police tape and unmarked sedan. Inside, I found him in the study, staring at the lambskin-covered chair I once used for homework. He'd aged 10 years and 24 hours. Dad, I said softly. He blinked, recognition and shame mixing on his face. Charlie, you came back. His voice was broken. I knelt beside him. Are you okay? He rubbed his eyes. I'm lost. I never wanted this. I just wanted to protect our family. Mom's legacy, our home. I let the anger soften. I know. But you protected the wrong people. He nodded, tears slipping. I saw the emails, your lawsuit files. When the FBI arrived, I realized how I'd failed you and her. He pressed his hands together. I'll turn myself in. I'll testify against Patterson. Against Karen. He gazed at me, fierce red with regret. But I'm so proud of you, kiddo. So proud. I held his hand. Let's go home. In the days that followed, the Caldwell family splintered. Aunt Karen was arrested on charges of forgery and elder exploitation. Patterson LLP's senior partner faced disbarment. Dad surrendered to the FBI for questioning. A plea bargain was set to allow him home to rebuild. Uncle Jack resigned from the family business in disgrace. Gloria and Sam turned to me for guidance as the estate wound its way through probate under court supervision. My Thanksgiving silence had detonated a bomb that revealed decades of secrets and injustices. Relations fractured. Some estranged, some leaning on me for solace. Grandma Hazel, heartbroken, retreated into herself. I spent nights by her side, reading our favorite books to coax her back. Kathy, Dad's business partner turned fiancée, vanished, no forwarding address. Daisy moped as though missing the old normal. But in the wreckage, a clearer truth emerged. Mom's legacy, once buried under forged amendments, shone free. The will was restored to her final draft, one that named both Sam and me as equal heirs. Dad arranged council meetings to divide assets as Mom intended. The orchard's land was set aside as a nonprofit preserve in her memory. My voice, the voice Dad asked me to hold back, had become the keystone that held justice together. And me, I learned that love sometimes demands you raise your voice, even when asked to stay quiet. The family gathered again 10 days later for the first court hearing, this time not for turkey, but for truth. I wore the same navy blazer but without Daisy's hair on it. When Catherine Patterson's counsel tried to invoke confidentiality agreements, I stood and recited the email chain, subject lines, timestamps, red flag anomalies. The judge had no choice but to seal the verdict in favor of my mother's heirs. We emerged into November's pale sun, as a smaller, wiser family. Grandma Hazel, frail but steady, planted a memorial rose in the orchard. Dad placed an arm around me. Your mother would have been proud, he said. I nodded, wiping a tear. I know. With one last glance at the barn's golden horizon, I realized the cost of my silence had been too high, and the cost of my voice had been worth every shattering moment. 5 days after they said, "Stay quiet," I tore my family apart, but also built us back together, stronger and truer than before. And as the rose's pale blossom caught the light, I understood peace never comes from silence. It comes from the courage to speak, even when it hurts the ones you love.